Let me go to the keynote by industry leaders. These are the different industry experts, professionals, highly acclaimed professionals, and they are our prominent partners. Our esteemed partners for years, they have been given our support for their innovation needs, not only for their Indian needs, but also for their global needs. Let me invite first Mr. Girish Raghavan, VP Engineering of GE Healthcare. Please come on the stage. But can I request all the panelists, meanwhile, to come on the stage? Mr. Anil, Kumar, Madugulla, Baxter, please. Mr. Juergen Simon from Siemens Healthineer. Dr. Sanjeev Panchal, Astrazeneca. So, Mr. Girish. Mr. Raghavan is the Vice President of Engineering at leading efforts to accelerate the digital transformation of healthcare in India through strategic implementation of advanced technologies. He's been with us for the last 4 or 5 years, and we've done a good number of use cases for GE Healthcare. Over to him. Thank you.
Good morning. I somehow made it. I was stuck in 100-feet road for a long time, so it was just in time. So nice to meet you all. It's a second session. Last year also we had an opportunity to present over here. So what I will do in the next 8 minutes to 10 minutes is talk about GE, obviously, GE Healthcare, what we do there. But more importantly, I'll focus on the importance of AI and Gen AI and stuff like that on healthcare, because there's a lot of myth around saying it's just on paper, it's just up in the cloud. I want to show some real examples where we have really used AI to make some big impact. So that is what I'll cover in the next 8 minutes or so. Okay. So this is our technology center, which most of you might be aware of. So we are the largest technology center for GE Healthcare outside of US. We have been there for 30 years now. We have developed close to 130 solutions. We focus a lot on innovation. We have close to 1,100 patents, which we have developed from the campus, all US-based patents, most of them, 95% of them. We have the largest infrastructure for GE Healthcare in Bangalore. We have 85,000 square feet of labs, which we have. You have all the way from the X-ray systems to CT. You have more CTs in our office than you would find any hospitals in the country. We have X-ray systems which are as old as me to the latest and the greatest X-ray systems in the industry today. So we have done a phenomenal investment in infrastructure. That's what makes us very unique. The other thing which makes us unique is the fact that it's the only center in GE Healthcare globally where you have pretty much all business under the same roof. So suppose you want to do a research where you want to take an MR system and do an integration ultrasound. There's no other place where you can do except for Bangalore. So that all these makes us very unique as a company. Now coming to GE Healthcare, as you guys know, we spun off 1 year back. We are an independent company. It is an $80 million company. We serve close to 1 billion folks every year, patients. We have one of the largest install bases in the world, 4 million install bases we have, which actually is a very unique thing for a healthcare company. And we spend more than $1 billion on R&D. And recently, some of you might know, for the last 2 consecutive years, FDA, the largest number of applications to get FDA approved has been from GE Healthcare, 58 apps over the last, in 2023, and we have a number 1 and even the previous year as well. Right? So if you look at the GE Healthcare strategy has been focused towards D3, right? It's called D3 strategy. That is our focus towards precision care. First is devices, right? The whole focus is on how do we make devices smarter. And the only way we can make devices smarter is to get AI close to the device. So there's a lot of work happening, pretty much all the devices we have, on how we can make devices smarter and intelligent. So that is the first D. The second D is the focus we have towards the disease states, right? So we are focusing on 3 care pathways, oncology, cardiology, and neurology. And the last is digital. So digital has been the fulcrum around which the company is operating today. So these three Ds is what makes us what we are today, and that is the future in which we are progressing very strongly. And when you come to the disease states, specifically, right, what makes us very different is the fact that how do we get multimodal data and provide a very a continuous patient experience. So if you look at these spaces like oncology, neurology, cardiology, one fundamental thing we are trying to address is how do we build a patient jacket. So for instance, if you go to a hospital and you meet a doctor, you would have a file which has got everything from an EMR data to ECG to echocardiography to pathology reports to the last prescription, etc. Right? Now the question is how do we integrate all of them and give a seamless experience for the clinician. So if I'm an oncologist, I look at a file. How do I get insights from them? So we are looking at two fronts. One is providing a patient jacket, which gets across the entire care continuum, right from screening all the way to treatment. And the second one is how do we tailor-make these insights based upon the clinician who's addressing you. For instance, if you go to a virtual tumor board, right, for oncology, you have multiple folks in the tumor board. You are medical oncologists, and each of them are looking for different things. So we get this data, and how do we provide insights to each of the target clinicians in a way which is going to be meaningful for them. So these two are very important as far as the multimodal data management is concerned. Okay? So these are all big things we are seeing from a healthcare perspective. I'm sure most of our colleagues are also working in the same space. Now coming to healthcare, GE healthcare and AA specifically, the examples what I wanted to share. See, today, if you look at as an industry, we are struggling with data. We have so much of data, right? The amount of data we are generating today on a monthly, daily basis is humongous. So how do we manage the increasing volume of data and make sense out of that? That is the first big challenge we have. The second big challenge is we have complex multimodal data. So traditionally, if you go to a hospital, you look at, right, if you go to a GP, he will look at what is the flavor of the week. If it is COVID, he will say it's COVID. If it is, he'll ask you to test for COVID, right? If it is malaria season, he'll say, ask you to test for malaria. But things, today medicine has changed quite a bit. Today it's all about how do we take very complex multimodal data and try to make insights out of that. And this will go all the way from histopathology to imaging data as well. And third big issue we have is also shortage of staff. If you go to most hospitals, you'll always find they complain about staff shortage, okay? Because we have very less experienced technologists or clinicians or physicians, and they go through a lot of stress, right? The burnout rates are extremely high in that space. So they talk about how do we solve that particular problem what customers are facing today. And then we have a lot of inefficiencies. I'm sure many of you, if you have been to any hospital in the city, you will find that you go in the morning and you pretty much come back by 4 o'clock in the evening. You'll wait for 5-6 hours for a CT scan, 4-5 hours for meeting the doctor. There's a lot of inefficiency in the workflow. So customers are asking us, please help us to solve workflow problems we are facing today, right? So I met a doctor in Bombay, and we asked him, okay, what is your biggest problem? So we went with some very good high funda, sliced CT images. He said, I don't want all this. Today I scan 20 patients a day. Can you make it 21? Can you make it 21 patients per day? So that is the need, workflow efficiencies. How do we make it more optimal for clinicians? So these are some of the challenges what we're facing today, and how we are using AI to address it, right? See, today, AI has been there for a while now. It is not something new. But the approach we have been taking traditionally has been, what you see on the left-hand side is about we get data, and we go through supervised learning, right? You get data, you label the data, then you put them through a training process where you take a model, you will train it, and you will do it for each and every task which you have in your hand. It could be segmentation as an example, which I'll talk about in the next screen as well, right? So segmentation, you have an ML model. At some point, we realize it is impossible, right? You have so many models in place, even managing those models become impossible for us. That is when this whole space of foundation models became very crucial for us, right? So in the space of foundation models, with all we do with LLMs today, and what we're doing today is we go for unsupervised learning. So how do we take these models and how do we use foundation models to come with optimization of the ML models what we have. And this is very crucial for us for multiple things. One is just maintenance, right? If you don't take this approach, 5 years from now, you will have a library of ML models and you will not know how to manage and maintain them. And then also have the traceability to the clinical data what we have. So that is one big change we are doing today. And this video I wanted to share, which is actually what we showed at RSNA this year. This is on IGS. So, is this no volume on this one? Okay. So, I'll just show what we're talking. So, this is what we call the Embo Assist. We launched it at RSNA. So, what it does is beautiful, right? You can see the video. It automatically, without any clicks, it looks at your vascular 3D structure. It looks at the structure. It will find the path where there is an embolism, and it will give suggestion. In fact, it goes one step beyond, where it uses virtual injection technology, where it will try to inject a dye, and it will tell you where the embolism is all about, right? So that's very beautiful, and this is all based upon AI technology. So just imagine if you're a clinician in a hospital, you have this workflow, you just click on it, it will automatically take your 3D images and tell you exactly in your vascular where you have embolisms, right? So you can just, sorry. So there's no video here, but you can see what happens over here, right? So there's 0 clicks involved. It will automatically stimulate the embolism. It will do a virtual injection. You will see after this. It will exactly show where the blocks are, right? And you can see how useful it is for a clinician. It makes their entire life very easy, right? See, it's able to extract the vessel of interest. So you've got a lot of vessels, right? 3D vascular is very complex. You have a lot of vessels. It's able to extract the one of interest, and it will superimpose on an image, right? So you can see some of the value of AI what we have. The other example which I want to share here is about workflow optimization. If you look at the hospitals today, one of the biggest challenges hospitals face today is about how do we get protocols. If you go to a CT or a MR or an X-ray system, right, the clinicians spend a lot of time, the technologists spend a lot of time to decide what protocol to do. If you're doing a next scan, for example, you've got some 30 protocols available. He is lost on which one to use. He has to look at EMR data. He should look at the file what doctor has given to figure out what to do. So what we do at GE Healthcare is what we call intelligent protocoling, right? What the system will automatically, it will go and scan. It will go and ask the risk system. It will ask his system. It will go and look at the EMR records. And it will go and automatically suggest to the technologist, for this patient who's obese, right, who's 50 years old, he's got these conditions, I recommend these 3 protocols. And he can choose the protocol what he wants. This is what we have today in our current products today. But it's all rule-based, right? What we're doing today as part of our next gen, we are trying to go with LLMs again, right? Because when we have rules are limited. You can have 100, 150, 200 rules you can have. But the system doesn't learn by itself every time. So we are going to use LLMs, where we are using LLMs, you can get the same kind of data, and we'll be able to suggest to technologies what has to be used. Okay. So this is another example where LLMs and the foundation models play a huge role as we are progressing from a clinical standpoint. The last thing is about responsible AI. This is a very important topic I want to also talk about, because this is very relevant for all of us. With all AI coming in, right, a lot of questions about, is it ethical, right? How do we build trust with clinicians? The big question what clinicians ask us is, explain this to me. Show me how this is going to work. So for all of folks in this room, we have to make sure that whatever we are doing today is ethical in nature. Okay, we are able to explain to clinicians. We can build trust with patients. We are taking care of privacy, data security. All these things become super crucial. And this has definitely been one of the foundation in which we are working today. If you come to GE Healthcare, we have well-defined SOPs on what we can do with AI, what we cannot do with AI. And even if you're doing an AI, there are well-defined guardrails around which we work. So that is one of our fundamentals of our way we are working today. And the way we're doing today is about model monitoring. So this model monitoring is very important. The whole process of what we call the ML ops today, some of you may be aware of ML ops, this becomes all the more important because models will also change with time. You have you get data, right? You get a lot of data. The models will change based on the population you're going for. So it's very crucial for us to monitor the models and take care of the drifts they see. You could have data drifts. You could have concept drifts, right? You have to identify those drifts and take action. That becomes all the more important as well. So as we progress towards AI, we should also not lose track of the responsible AI part of it to make sure we're doing things ethical, explainable, we are able to build trust with clinicians, we're able to take care of patient privacy, patient security, and making sure that what we are delivering is making an impact. And we should remove bias and discrimination as well from the AI models what we have. So this is at a brief which I wanted to talk about some examples of what we do today as we speak on AI. It is no more on the cloud discussion. It is real. Companies are doing it. So it is it's going to be, next 5 to 10 years is going to be a significant transformation for us as we move forward. So thank you all, and I'll pass it on to Navratna.
Thank you. Thank you, Girish. You know, we don't have to pay any tuition fee for all this learning, at least people from COE. Virtual injection. I never knew that kids, small infants, could be actually given a simulation and say, this is cool, do not worry, they won't cry. Intelligent protocoling, oh my goodness, there's a lot of medical words which the non-medical world in the hall is listening and learning. Next, let me call Mr. Anil Kumar Madugulla. Baxter, he's a senior director from Global Software R&D for Medication Delivery and Acute Therapies at Baxter. He's highly passionate about dealing with change, complexity, uncertainty, and chaos to establish order and speed in business. He has played progressive leadership roles in varying capacities and positions to ensure high performance and efficiency. Please, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, all. And being a healthcare conference, you're not giving us time even for a break. I represent Baxter. How many of you know what Baxter is? Not many hands. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll kind of introduce what Baxter does and how does it complement the industry from the diagnostic world into the critical care world. So, if you look at the kind of portfolio that Baxter is a very old company, founded in 1930s. It's a $15 billion company now, operates in 100 plus countries, touching 350 plus million patient lives every year, right? And if you look at the portfolio of products that it is cut across and it plays a significant role in handling care. I mean, if I start from the top, let's say we have things for surgery. When a person is on the operating table and he's going through a surgery, right? I mean, if you see the blood is leaking and if you have to close the tissues and stop the blood flow, we have the wonder drugs that all the doctors use that can actually help in that surgical setting, right? That's a huge contribution from Baxter. If you look at the next one, acute therapies, Dr. Devishakti mentioned, critical care is important. If you look at acute, it is acute care where a person is in the ICU and because of, let's say, a septic shock, a person can get into a state where his kidneys were absolutely fine till last day, but suddenly because of, the various medications or the infections that are happening, your kidneys can stop working. And we have technologies called CRRT, which is we are the world leaders in this technology, that if your kidneys are not working, we can actually purify the heavy molecules, middle molecules, and low molecules like no one else in the business. Right? That's what Baxter brings from an acute care setting. And when we say acute, it's just not kidneys. Let's say during COVID, a lot of us know what happened to the end phases of a patient in a COVID kind of a setting. Your own immune system is working against you. Right? Then what do you do in such a case? You actually have to use filters that, say, a company like Baxter has. These are high filters that we call Oxiris, which you can use to remove all of that, the proteins that are there in the blood that are actually affecting you negatively, right? So we deal with anything with blood and use blood as a mechanism to treat a patient in a critical care setting. That's one of the, we own 80% of the market share here when it comes to acute therapies. If I look at clinical nutrition, it's been a huge part of Obamacare, analyzing what happens to patients where they're not getting out of hospitals, right? If you really see, a surgery is done, a patient in the ICU, and it'll take, let's say you all experience, it'll take a week or 2 weeks to come out of the hospital. And during the time you are actually lying on the bed, what kind of nutrition are you getting? Right? Typically the IV fluids that all of us know, 0.9% sodium chloride. But if you were to give proper nutrition to a person, I think he would recover faster and come out of the ICU faster. So towards that, Baxter has products which can actually take a prescription from a doctor talking to the EMR systems, and it can create, let's say, an amino acid, a carbohydrate, a protein. We have machines that can exactly make the amount of nutrition you want for that particular session for the patient. And we can even do your analysis of per individual, what's the need, and help the patient out. So that's the nutrition business that we have, right? And if you come to, and we've acquired a company called Hillrom in the last 2-3 years. And what it brings to the table is, if you look at the patient support systems, any surface that you lie on in the hospital, if you heard of the Hillrom beds, I think they're one of the best in the industry. And we own all the beds, all the surfaces that people lie on. And these surfaces, these beds are becoming smarter, right? I think if you understand the bed source, right? If anyone lying on the bed for a longer time, because he's sitting at the same position, the pressure points that are there on your tissues will kill the cells, and lack of the blood flow, and hence lack of oxygen, will kill the cells, and these bed sores can never be healed. Because I went through that personally with my dad. It's been a nightmare to handle it. Even for years together, it doesn't heal. So what kind of beds we have are very intelligent beds that can actually vary the pressure points. This is very advanced technologies that can solve these critical problems that are there in the ICU. And the global surgical solutions, we actually own operating rooms where you do procedures. The tables that are flexible, lights can come at the time where you want it to come. And the booms and what videos you see on the screen, giving the doctor, let's say you can pull up the beautiful videos that Girish showed here on the monitor and say, hey, now how do I do the surgery? Because you're at that point where you help the doctors do the surgery interventions, right, with all of this technology, which is pretty significant. Then we come to frontline care, which is, the first point of entry. When you want to monitor a person, you want to look at their vitals, you want to look at, their eyes or cardiac, or we have all kinds of solutions that can actually look at the expanse of all of these elements to see how you can bring monitoring into the space. And then you have medication delivery, which is the most significant business that we have, which is about, you can do all your diagnosis. A person's been diagnosed with maybe cardiac or oncology or any care areas, pediatrics, neonates, whatever. At the end, they need medication, right? So we're one of the largest, we hold a third of the market share in pumps that are very intelligent, that can give you the right medications at the right time. If you look at we talk about precision healthcare, but if you look at precision engineering, which is what the organization does, imagine we need to pump, 0.01 ml. Can you imagine that in your head? Per hour of a medicine when a person is in the ICU. At times, you cannot give more because it becomes very fatal. How will you deliver 0.01 ml in 1 hour? Right? That's what you're talking about. The precision engineering and the precision medicine you're talking about. And I think that medication delivery, which is what Baxter brings to the table, right? And then you look at pharmaceuticals. We have a lot of generics, antibiotics, and even anesthetic agents. I think we have one of the wonder drugs in anesthesia. If when a person goes through a surgery, all of you would recollect that it takes 3 to 4 hours to recover, right? What's happening during that recovery phase? Is it good for the patient? It's not. Why? Because in that unconscious state, I think it's not helping him recover. But what if you have anesthetic agents that can help you recover faster? Baxter actually looks at these problems so deep, right, and want to solve those critical problems which no one else can. And they come up with these wonder drugs that can actually help you come out of that state much faster. If you have recovered, let's say, within half an hour, right, you got enough time, because during surgery is where your body has to fight the system. You've intervened, you cut open a person, and now, your immune system's, exposed, and you need your consciousness to fight this. So Baxter does that. And renal care, again, as I mentioned, is all about hemodialysis. We deal with everything blood. We can kind of look at different kinds of molecules and see how we can purify it. And then, for the chronic kidney disease, we kind of do a lot of that in that sense. So if you really think and step back and analyze what I'm showing on the slide here, right? Dr. Devi Shetty mentioned critical care and looking at monitoring to build an algorithm to predict a risk score. But if you look at the entire scope of these things here, right, I think the interventions, be it monitoring, be it medication, be it nutrition, be it respiratory, right, be it cardiac, I think Baxter brings in an entire portfolio of things that takes care of that critical care, for the patients. So if you really look at and go a level higher now from a clinical perspective, right, the 5 rights, if you have heard, right? A lot of deaths do happen because of medication errors, right? So what are those 5 rights? If you are a startup, actually, you can start thinking about, hey, how do I enable these 5 rights? The right patient, the right medication, the right time, the right dose, and the right route in which a medication has to go into a person's body, right, is unsolved yet. And we have our digital platforms with our products and gateways and all of that can ensure that these 5 rights are handled and preventing a lot of, you would say, fatalities, right, that are happening. Again, as Girish also talked, there are people under stress, the lack of skills. So what does that enable you? The platforms you need to create, make it seamless for these individuals to kind of handle all of this. Right? And now go another level higher. If a person's in the ICU, right, now there is basic vital monitoring. Then there's going to be hemodynamic monitoring. Now, beyond that, all of us know that from 1940s, we all measure blood pressure only, and that's a key indicator, right? But if you want to go beyond that, what do you want to measure? You want to measure the fluid responsiveness. We've got devices that can measure fluid responsiveness of a patient, right? You can't just keep giving drugs to a particular patient. Why is that? Because I cannot, maybe my kidney is not working, I can't take the fluid overload, right? So all these elements, if you see, puts us in a context of what are we doing as an organization from a critical care perspective, right? Smart devices, and then the data and analytics. And the third most important element there is how do we bring in the entire care network of people, nurses, families, patients, and the entire set of doctors. We've got communication infrastructure, right, which we own, called the Volt platform and the nurse call systems, that brings in all this information, can dissipate. We even tell the patients, the families what's happening, right? So Baxter brings in the entire ecosystem of care, to a critical care setting in a very, very holistic way. What does it enable for the future, right? These 2 million plus devices that are there, right? And then the way we can connect all of this and make a better future from a critical care perspective and complement, the GEs and the Siemenses and the Philips where they bring in the diagnostic capabilities. I think if we merge all of this together, I think there can be a better possible future care that we can deliver. And thank you, and that's what Baxter brings with all the integration of all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Anil. Though there is a timer, but I will stand here when there's a 10 seconds left, so further speakers. Let me call Mr. Juergen Simon, VP Technology Strategy and Head of Siemens Healthineer, Technology Accelerator. We are happy to see him flying from Germany, and I'll leave to him to give his presentation. We are not having a Q&A because of the tight program, but on your badge, you have a feedback form. So if you can fill in your question to that specific speaker, at the end of the day, we will collect all those questions, send it to them, and we hope to get you the answers. If that's okay, I hope we can move on faster. Thank you.
Yeah, next time you have to ask me for a better photo, I think. Look at this. Thanks for having me at this wonderful conference. I have to think about next time I want to go first, because otherwise all of the good points are already taken by my colleagues. So, but I hope not to be too repetitive. Yeah, and we at Siemens Healthineers and also at conferences like these, we love to talk about technology, but I think it's always important to remember that technology is there to help the patients, to help the healthcare workers be more efficient, to help the physicians to get more precise diagnoses. And as my colleague from GE has already said, apparently also the healthcare workers have come more into the focus. How can we make them more efficient? Because there is a very severe worldwide shortage on healthcare workers. And the WHO has estimated that by 2030, we're lacking worldwide 10 million of them. So it's pretty much at the heart of our efforts also at Siemens Healthineers to make healthcare workers more efficient, to make the physicians more efficient in their diagnosis and how we can help them to help their patients. Yeah? And we like to think about our contribution in this space really in three large categories that I'm going to speak about briefly. And one of them is patient twinning. The other one is precision therapy, and all of that is connected by digital data and AI, which is also the focus here. And of course, all these categories are interconnected. And when we talk about precision therapy from within our company, what we're really focusing on is how can we make our devices, especially in radio-oncology, how can we make them smarter, how can we better connect them to the imaging devices, and how we can make sure that the radio-oncologist is in a position to really provide precise radiation therapy to the tumor and spare the healthy tissue. And also for us, precision therapy is providing image guidance solutions for minimally invasive therapies, especially if those minimally invasive therapies are delivered by robotics. So, and that is also a huge development, I think, that we're seeing worldwide, especially in China and the US, that more and more minimally invasive therapies are delivered via robotics, and that's definitely something we want to be part of as Siemens Healthineers. But a topic that is really, really close to our heart is what we call the digital patient twin. And that is kind of a vision that we have that we, on the one hand, we help the physician to get access to more and more data about the patient. And more data quantitatively, and also, of course, more and more data qualitatively. And this enhancement in terms of data quality and data quantity, we first of all try to push through the devices we bring to the physicians, especially focusing on new detector technologies, focusing on robotic support, of course, and also on the laboratory diagnostic side, for example, looking at new biologic entities that we can use for the diagnosis of diseases such as exosomes. But of course, I mean, also for the focus of this event here in this conference, the digital patient twin is not only about improving medical devices and putting more and higher quality data into the hands of the physician. It's also about the question, how do you use the information and that is generated, yeah? Which brings me basically to digital data and AI. As was already mentioned, that the amount of data worldwide is really exploding. There are estimations that by already in 2020, there were several zettabytes of data created worldwide in terms of healthcare data. So that's 1,000 exabytes, there are several thousand exabytes or several billion terabytes. And the question is really how to deal with this data and how to optimally put it into use for the benefit of the patients. So from our perspective, may I say, of course, the solution is to a very high extent in various forms of artificial intelligence. At Siemens Healthineer, we employ AI in a broad variety of use cases, really. For example, we use it to automate routine procedures in imaging. For example, we have AI solutions on our computer tomography system that allow the user of the computer tomography system to choose the best moment in time to do imaging so that imaging is not distorted by, for example, the patient moving, the patient's heartbeat, or the patient breathing. Yeah? The most important example, I think, for the use of AI also at our company is also in the area of really supporting the radiologist in making sense of the images that he or she generates. Yeah? So we really try to support them with the routine tasks and extracting the most possible information out of the images. And this is actually the area in our company where there is really the highest intensity of AI use. And that relates to our own internal research and development activities worldwide, also in India. And it also relates to our cooperations with a lot of our customers to bring those things to the patient. Yeah. For radio-oncology, we are using AI to expedite the planning process for the radio-oncologic procedures to really reduce the time it takes before the therapy can really start. And that, you know, in some cases will cut down the planning time for radio-oncology by an hour or so per patient, which is really significant. We are then also developing models to simulate the radio-oncology therapy, so to make a better choice in terms of radiation timing and radiation dosage. You know, that's all these examples that I just spoke about are what I would call still classical AI, but of course we're also looking intensively into generative AI and especially large language models to see how we can put them to use to advance our technologies further. And we had first promising results that we have shown at RSNA in November. For example, a prototype system that can dynamically generate reports on diagnostic images and can prioritize the findings. And additionally, we are using, of course, artificial intelligence and generative AI to help our customer service, yeah, and to help the medical staff and to educate the medical staff. With all of that said, I think we're just starting to understand, I would say that's true in the industry, what generative AI really can mean, yeah, and what the possibilities for generative AI are, and there's still a lot to come in my eyes. So to close the circle a little bit, all of these AI solutions will, of course, contribute to realize our vision of a digital patient twin. And this, in turn, will allow to use the resources in the healthcare system much more efficiently, which is a much higher benefit for the patient. And this, in our eyes, will finally make diagnosis and therapy of very complex diseases manageable and less costly. So thanks again for having me.
It's good to see Germans matching the time adherence of Japanese sometimes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simon. All our partners have beautiful, very well-established labs here. If I were given that option, I would probably charge $50 a museum ticket entry to each of their campuses. So if you ever have an opportunity to go to their campus, please do not miss, absolutely not miss. Thanks a lot. Let me introduce you Dr. Sanjeev Panchal. He's AstraZeneca. You know AstraZeneca is in our blood. All of us have that in our blood. They have a health tech, a catalyst center across more than 20 countries in the world. And I'm very happy to say that the majority of the winners when they run global challenges are from India. That's the strength of India's innovation. We have seen a lot of success stories that they have done with the curated startups that we pack to COE, but the amount of support that they give to the startups is mind-boggling. And there are a good number of people in this hall who are like, who will go bend all the way to help the startups. So startups, please do not hesitate to contact, engage with them, even if they're the CXOs of these companies. You won't get an appointment later on. Let me call upon Dr. Sanjeev Panchal. He has been in the AstraZeneca company for over 20 years in India, Singapore, Malaysia, UK, and now back in India, and is the country president and MD. Over to you, Dr. Panchal.
Thank you very much. A real honor to be here. And thank you for the nice introduction about AstraZeneca. I have a few minutes, and I'll just want to talk about what we do as a company, but very short, but also say how we are helping the innovation in India. So I think first to start with, we are really inspired by our purpose, and purpose we believe is very, very important. So for everything we do in digital, whatever we are doing, I think purpose is important. For AstraZeneca, the purpose is to push the boundaries of science to bring life-changing medicine. That's what we want to do. And we are also really inspired by our values. Everything which we did during COVID as a company across the world, we were really inspired by the values of putting patient first and doing the right thing. And it's important that how do we bring that science to unlock that power for people, society, and planet. And I want to spend a minute on this, why we are saying people, society, and the planet. We really feel proud when we brought vaccines to the world. We delivered almost 3 billion doses to the world, and we did that as no profit. And I don't think this will happen very soon again, where a company, a pharma industry will bring something to the world and really saving about 6 million lives across the world, and we did that no profit. The second thing I want to highlight is we brought that technology transfer to India with SIA, and we know SIA was the biggest volume producer of vaccine across the world, and we were bringing those vaccines not only to India but across the low to middle income countries. So we really feel proud what we are doing for the world is really driven by the purpose. The second thing is about the planet, and I want to take this opportunity beyond vaccines. What we are doing for the planet is how do we reduce the carbon emission across the world. And last year in December, we actually launched the biggest program of AstraZeneca, which is AZ Forest across the world. We are planting 400 million trees across the world. And India was chosen one as a country. And in Meghalaya, we are doing 64 million trees plantation over 30 years. And we are maintaining that as well. So not only for the society, but now we are really looking at how sustainability, and I was speaking in IIM Bangalore last Friday on the ESG topic, and that makes us really proud what we are doing for India as a country. I have been in different parts of the world, but doing something for your own country and bringing that global investment into your own country is really, really, really meaningful. And that inspires us. And the third thing is, of course, medicines, and that's the last part of it. And I won't talk about what products we have, but what we are making a difference to the patient is to bring that science from R&D to the patients. In terms of how big we are a science-led innovative company, very patient-focused, which is always the case, but we also say we follow the science and put patient first. We are leading therapy areas in oncology, doing a lot of stuff in cancer. You could follow us, the amount of new medicines which we are bringing, with a purpose. For example, cancer, one of our global ambition is to eliminate lung cancer as a cause of death. And I'll talk about an example how we are using AI technology to help that achieve. It's not a small ambition, it's not a small journey, it's a long journey, but we are having a purpose that how do we eliminate lung cancer as a cause of death. Very global outreach, diversified portfolio. So we are not only in India, our A Catalyst network, which was just mentioned, is across different countries, and we brought this to India, and India is one of the big countries. We are bringing startups to the world, and I'll show you one or two examples how we have got startups in India, and they are now being placed in different parts of the world. And I really feel proud as the country president that we are not only focused on bringing just medicines and bring that to R&D, but we are really doing this for society, and the planet. So data and AI is important, so we can't be behind. So we are doing a lot of stuff on data. So just to give an example, like for example, clinical trials. We did a lot of clinical trials during COVID and used the data and technology AI. We are advancing the understanding of the disease. We heard from our colleagues here. We need to use digital and AI to understand the patient journey. We are transforming as an organization to grow our business from science to patient, but at the same time, how do we bring the future of healthcare with this A Catalyst network. So this is our collaboration globally. We are working, one of the key things in our purpose is that we believe that we can't achieve everything by our own. So that's the fundamental. So when we work with NASSCOM and our partners across the world, we believe that we have to partner with people who share the same passion of science and who understand the same purpose, and we really carefully make the choices of being partnering so that we can really together make a difference to the world. So we have 1,000 plus ACAD collaborations across the world, and our headquarters, which was actually in London at some point of time, we actually shifted to Cambridge. And in Cambridge means the science thrives in Cambridge. We have Oxford or Cambridge University, which is like 800 years old university, which is actually not replicable. You can't replicate a 800-year-old university. So we are sitting as a headquarter R&D center, being in Cambridge, work with scientists next to each other. We were in Cambridge last month, and we actually met startups who are doing startups at a upstream level. So we see a lot of downstream innovation, but there we see actually upstream startups working there. So we're really proud of that. And the A Catalyst network is the global network for 20 plus AstraZeneca Innovation Hub, and India was the first one of the first ones to do, and the maximum number of startups in AI has actually come from India. So very proud that when we started this startups, we actually worked. We really believe partnership, which is public-private partnership. We are a private company, but we actually work with public. We work with academia. So here is NASSCOM, and we launched this with the India-Sweden Innovation Center. We are working with the government, Business Sweden as well, and also with the public part. We have actually touched 1 million lives in our past 2 years, and some of these startups which you see, Cure AI, which is working on the AI technology to actually see X-rays and detect if you have lung nodules and detect lung cancer early. We are working on TriCog to see how we can detect heart attacks early, and we are also working with ElvioFit, which is handheld spirometry type of an option. So we are doing a lot around AI, but we really believe that the purpose is important, and we work with partners who share the same passion of science like we do as a company. So the last slide, I want to say that, public-private partnerships, so this is what we did in October. For the first time, AstraZeneca in Karnataka worked with the Honorable Minister of Health of Karnataka, and this first AI technology is now going to the public. In this, we have partnered to bring the MOU in which 19 district hospitals in Karnataka will get the benefit of having an X-ray being screened by AI technology, and in which we can actually detect the lung cancer early, and there's a better pathway for patients. So this is not talking about medicine. So I have not spoken about medicine at all. What we are trying to do is to work in a patient journey, which is very early. And COVID has really taught us that the prevention is even more important to make the health system more resilient and reduce the budget, which the government might pay. So this has been in October. We signed the MOU in Karnataka, state of Karnataka, and we want to do like Meghalaya was for the planet, Maharashtra was for bringing the vaccine technology. In Karnataka, we are bringing, the AI technology. So again, to end with, our purpose is very clear that we want to push the boundaries of science and help the people, society, and the planet. And the technology is very important. And doing a MOE in Karnataka with the government of Karnataka is an absolute example for us, and we feel proud to continue to do that. So thank you so much for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Panchal. I will not repeat the same. Adherence to the time, thanks a lot. We have another gentleman called Mr. Sanjeev Malhotra. I'd like to be invited on the stage for giving a token of appreciation to all of them. This last photo, we'll again have an opportunity today when the Honorable Minister comes in. It's slightly late. We know all the ministers have some very engaging time, so he will be coming late, but we will definitely have a Photoshop with him. Sanjeev Malhotra is the CEO, and if you remember in the last event, I said this is one of the best tongue twister for your facial expression exercises, better than the Kathak of the country. So you might like to repeat sometimes. Thanks a lot to all of them. We'll have a group photo. The cameraman, please do come. Yeah. So. So on Astrazeneca, a lot of startups know the importance of Slush in Finland. It's one of the largest events in the world. And they have the largest and the best booth every year. People are surprised. What is a healthcare company doing in a Slush? But that's what it is. Usually we have some music at the background, but today no music. All right. Thanks a lot. We will now like to invite Mr. Kiran Gopal Vaska. He's the director at NHA. Thank you. He is in IES, currently responsible for IT policy. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Currently responsible for IT policy and convergence, related aspects of India's national flagship schemes, ABPMJ and ABDM. And if you have any technical question, he's the architect, he's the backbone. I don't know what else to say.